US President Donald Trump confirmed that he does not rule out supplying Ukraine with Tomahawk cruise missiles. At the same time, he noted that he intends to discuss this issue first
with Russia, a nation that has been a significant focus of international relations and geopolitical discussions. Trump, the former president of the United States, whose administration often engaged in complex diplomatic exchanges,
suggested that he could have a phone conversation with Russian President Vladimir Putin.
I can say, listen, if this war is not resolved, I will send them Tomahawks.
At the same time, the US president assumes that his decision to transfer missiles to Ukraine would lead to even greater escalation of the situation.
Tomahawk missiles are a new step in aggression. If this war is not resolved, I will send them Tomahawk missiles. This is an incredible, very powerful weapon.
The US president also once again emphasized that Putin must end his aggression against Ukraine.
If Putin doesn't solve the problem, it won't be good for him.
Russia has repeatedly stated that it is concerned about the prospect of these long-range missiles being supplied to Ukraine. Earlier, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky emphasized in an interview with Fox News that if Ukraine receives Tomahawk missiles from the US, strikes will be carried out exclusively against Russian military targets.
We are talking exclusively about military targets. We have never, even with all the pain from losing our families, children, and soldiers, our people have never struck their civilians. This is a major difference between Ukraine and Russia.
Zelensky noted that the Russians sell energy resources, receive money, and then invest it in the military sector. That is why these are military targets for Ukraine.
It is important to reduce Russia's ability to continue this prolonged war. This is the only way to do it.
Zelensky also stated that it is necessary to increase pressure on the Russian dictator Vladimir Putin. According to him, this can be done diplomatically or by exerting pressure on the battlefield.
Donald Trump hinted that after Gaza, he plans to resolve the war in Ukraine. The American leader stated that it would be good to make a peace deal with Iran, but noted that before that, it is necessary to deal with Russia.
That would be wonderful, wouldn't it? But first, we have to deal with Russia. If you don't mind, Steve, let's focus on Russia. We'll take care of it.
According to political analyst Volodymyr Fesenko, the end of the war in the Middle East will directly affect the war in Ukraine, because the Russian-Ukrainian war is now tied to Trump's reputation, the political analyst believes.
First of all, it's a precedent. In particular for Trump himself, it's a successful implementation of his plan. It affects Trump, it inspires him. If it worked in Israel, in the Gaza Strip, then why not try to do the same with the Russian-Ukrainian war now? Trump will deal with this war because he promised to end it.
During a speech in King City, Donald Trump shared a story about how he first sent Steve Witkoff to Moscow to negotiate with the Russian dictator Vladimir Putin to discuss the war in Ukraine.
Witkoff had no idea about Russia or Putin. He knew very little about politics. His meeting with Putin lasted 5 hours. I asked, "What the heck did you talk about for 5 whole hours?" He replied that they talked about interesting things and about the very reason they met in the first place.
According to the American leader, he thought that resolving the war in Ukraine would be easy, much easier than what he did with Israel. The Kremlin also made a statement regarding the possibility of arranging a conversation between US President Donald Trump and the Russian dictator Vladimir Putin. According to Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov, a phone conversation between the leaders of the two countries will take place as soon as an agreement is reached on this. So far, according to him, there is no clear agreement on such a conversation.
US President Donald Trump announced the end of the war between Israel and Hamas. He stated that Hamas is adhering to the disarmament plan. Also in the Israeli government, Trump signed the guest book, writing, "It is my great honor, a great and wonderful day, a new beginning. The Hamas movement will fulfill all the agreements stipulated by the peace plan," the US president stated. All 20 Israeli hostages have been released. Hamas handed over another group of 13 people to the Red Cross, and they are being reunited with their loved ones. According to media reports, Hamas still has the bodies of 28 deceased hostages. They will likely also be handed over to Israel soon. Earlier, it was reported that, according to preliminary estimates, about 500,000 Palestinians have returned to their destroyed homes in the Gaza Strip after the ceasefire agreement between Israel and Hamas came into effect.
On the beach in Tel Aviv, ahead of Trump's visit, a huge banner appeared with the word "Thank you."
Earlier, the US president stated that reaching a peace agreement on Gaza could become the biggest achievement he has ever been involved in. Trump also said that achieving an agreement on Gaza would have been impossible if he had not ordered strikes on Iranian nuclear facilities in June. He believes that these actions weaken Tehran's support for Hamas and force the group to become more compliant. The president is convinced that eliminating the threat of Iran's nuclear program paved the way for uniting Arab and Muslim states around a peaceful settlement in Gaza.
A clear signal. NATO is launching exercises starting October 13th to strengthen the alliance's readiness for nuclear deterrence. The Netherlands is serving as the main host country. This was reported by the alliance's press service. Approximately 70 aircraft from 14 allied countries and 2,000 personnel will take part in the exercises. The main base will be the Volkel Air Base in the Netherlands. Among the combat aircraft involved will be Dutch F-35 fighters, as well as reconnaissance, refueling, airborne and command and control aircraft from the Allies. As NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte noted, these measures also send a clear signal to any potential adversary that NATO is ready to defend its allies.
This is an annual and routine training exercise, and we need to do this because it helps ensure that our nuclear deterrence capability remains as reliable, safe, secure and effective as possible.
Meanwhile, off the coast of France, a Russian submarine armed with Kalibr missiles surfaced. Reports indicate a serious malfunction. The vessel in question is the diesel-electric submarine B-261 Novorossiysk, which reportedly has significant technical problems on board. The channel VCHK-UGPU reported the malfunctions on September 27th. According to their information, due to damage in the fuel system of the Novorossiysk, which is on combat duty in the Mediterranean Sea, fuel is leaking directly into the bilge. Submariner and Dr. Leonid Zelensky explained that such a situation threatens either a fire or poisoning of the crew by fuel vapors.
With such a combination, it is very dangerous for the submarine to dive, because when there is a high concentration of diesel fuel, the boat must be constantly ventilated. In order to do this, it has to remain on the surface at all times.
The expert also believes that the Russian Navy tried to keep the incident quiet and did not ask for help in time. A French Navy frigate has been sent to monitor the submarine. This was reported by the NATO Naval Command. They stated that the alliance is ready to defend itself, constantly monitoring the situation at sea.
Russia has lost more than 280,000 military personnel in just the first 8 months of 2025, according to a document that, according to Ukrainian intelligence, contains leaked Russian official data. As Politico writes, these catastrophic losses are the price Russia pays for tiny gains at the front. The document states that about 87,000 soldiers have been killed and 34 are missing in action. Around 160,000 have been wounded and more than 2,000 have been taken prisoner. According to the General Staff of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, since the start of the full-scale aggression in 2022, Russia has lost more than 1 million people killed, wounded, or missing in action. On average, the Russian Federation loses about 1,000 soldiers every day. Russia's attempts to boost military recruitment through high financial incentives are losing their effectiveness. This indicates that the main method of attracting volunteers to participate in the war is starting to exhaust itself. The number of people signing contracts with the Ministry of Defense of the Russian Federation is no longer growing, even in those regions where the largest payments are offered. Everyone who wanted to make money from the war has already signed up. This was reported by the Institute for the Study of War. The constant increase in payments and the expansion of the social benefits package for military personnel indicate a slowdown in recruitment and the Kremlin's attempts to find new incentives for enlistment. Experts from the Institute for the Study of War believe that if the recruitment rate continues to decline and Russia is unable to make up for its heavy losses, this may force Vladimir Putin either to resort to the forced mobilization of reservists, which he is extremely reluctant to do, or to sit down at the negotiating table to end the war. Meanwhile, Ukrainian defenders managed to push back Russian occupiers near 4 settlements in the Donetsk region, according to the monitoring project Deep State. In the Pokrovsk direction, Ukrainian defenders succeeded in destroying 2 artillery systems, 2 vehicles, 12 UAVs, and a relay antenna. as well as electronic warfare equipment. The Ukrainian armed forces also struck 4 UAV control points and 6 shelters for enemy personnel.
The head of Chechnya, Ramzan Kadyrov, is being criticized by Z bloggers, and the Central Bank of Russia refuses to print Grozny on the banknote. And all this is because of a spat with Deputy and General Vladimir Shamanov. On September 25th, the deputy delivered a harsh critique of the bill initiated by the Chechen parliament to rename settlements in Chechnya, according to Novaya Gazeta Europe. Shamanov was particularly opposed to the intention of the Republican authorities to rename 3 stanitsas, Naor, Cernovodsk, and Shelkovskaya, which were once considered Russian strongholds in Chechnya. 7 days later, the head of Chechnya, Ramzan Kadyrov, responded to General Vladimir Shamanov. Speaking before Chechen teachers, Kadyrov called Shamanov a vile scoundrel. He stated that the Chechen authorities are not renaming all Chechen cities, although they could if they wanted to. The head of Chechnya cited Grozny as an example, saying that there were plans to rename it after his father, but he did not allow it. Z bloggers came to the defense of the Russian deputy.
What right does Kadyrov even have to speculate on the topic of the special military operation?
At the same time, Kadyrov got himself involved in yet another scandal. The head of Chechnya wanted to see Grozny on the 500-ruble banknote, but the central bank cancelled the vote for symbols on the bills dedicated to the North Caucasian Federal District. This vote sparked a lot of debate on the internet. The main rivalry unfolded between Mount Elbrus and Grozny City, which received the most votes. Ramzan Kadyrov offered 10 iPhone 17s for voting for the Grozny City complex on all 4 platforms at once. Some pro-military bloggers claimed that votes for Grozny City were being artificially inflated and began campaigning for Elbrus instead. As a result, the bank decided to cancel the vote. This decision outraged Chechnya's Minister for National Policy, Ahmed Dudayev.
We can see that many people are dissatisfied with the level of participation of residents of the Chechen Republic, with the pace of their involvement, and with the dynamics of our lead. The increase in the number of votes in the Grozny network.
As a result, the Bank of Russia promised to hold a new vote, but the dates will be announced later.